Hey everyone, Daniel here and welcome back to another video. I hope all of you are having a phenomenal day out there as always. Here today, I want to talk to you about Cardano ADA and try and give you all an in-depth understanding as to exactly what it is as a cryptocurrency, what differentiates it from other cryptos, and exactly what the potential is for it for long-term investors. So if you end up enjoying this video and finding any value in it whatsoever, please consider subscribing and let's get into it. First and foremost, when we talk about Cardano, they are one of the biggest cryptocurrencies in the world by market cap. I think they're actually top 7 right now. The price does fluctuate, but they are pretty big, and I hope to kind of communicate exactly why the market chooses to value them the way they are valued in this video. So the first thing we have to cover is exactly what Cardano is and what their goal is as a cryptocurrency. And it's actually pretty simple, kind of what their goal is. It's to be Ethereum, but better. Do everything that Ethereum does as a cryptocurrency and as a blockchain, but do it on a higher level, potentially through more efficiency, better prices, and quicker. And we'll touch on kind of all of those points in a moment here. But the first thing we have to ask ourselves after hearing that, after that proposition is, what is wrong with Ethereum at this moment in time that might incentivize people to stop using Ethereum and potentially switch over to something like a Cardano? And there are a few things, 3 main things to be exact. First and foremost, Ethereum is expensive, and we know this through the gas fees. It's really expensive to use the Ethereum network at this moment in time, and if any of you have used Ethereum in any real-world situation, you know this. Next, Ethereum has an infinite amount of Ethereums out there. It is uncapped, unlike something like a Bitcoin, which has a finite amount of Bitcoins out there. Ethereum is uncapped. They may choose to kind of switch it to a capped system in the future, but currently it's uncapped, and that, it isn't the best proposition for value kind of cryptocurrency investors. And lastly, Ethereum is slow in comparison to other cryptos like Cardano ADA. So now that we understand some of the negatives of Ethereum, we can switch over to Cardano and try and understand it on a higher level. It was originally founded by Charles Hoskinson back in 2015, and what's very interesting is that he is one of the Ethereum co-founders. So back in 2012, he is one of the people that started Ethereum. He stayed there for a few years, left in 2015, and launched Cardano in 2017. So he is one of the pioneers of the cryptocurrency industry, and that's what you have essentially at the helm of Cardano, someone who understands cryptos on a very high level, understands Ethereum, and understands the potential improvements that can be made to Ethereum, which he's obviously kind of applying to the Cardano network. Now, when we talk about the goals of the two cryptocurrencies, they're very similar, and that totally makes sense. With Charles Hoskinson being involved with Ethereum, then switching over to Cardano, it makes sense that they have similar goals. And the two main goals are to host smart contracts, which we'll talk a little bit about in a moment, and then to become decentralized autonomous organization platforms. If that sounds confusing whatsoever, I understand that completely. Consider it like a decentralized marketplace that potentially allows you to host decentralized finance or use different features among decentralized finance, and you can go a bit deeper with that with NFTs, non-fungible tokens. So that is what Cardano is trying to do. They're trying to do the same things that Ethereum does, but do them on a higher and more efficient level than Ethereum at this moment in time. That's what you need to understand, and that's the main takeaway of Cardano. Now, next thing we got to talk about the scientific method. When we talk about Cardano, everything that they do has a scientific-based approach behind it, and I value this very much as it allows them to really analyze the potential risks or potential long-term downsides of anything that they do to the platform. So although this does take a little more time than usual, it does give them a more well-rounded potential kind of product and allows them to make better decisions for both the short term and the long term by applying all different scenarios and potential simulations to determine all outcomes. Now, with Cardano, emphasis is put on scalability, security, low transaction costs, and interoperability. They're trying to focus on all aspects that make cryptocurrencies great and really trying to be the best in the industry at all of these, and we'll focus on them in a moment, but it's very interesting as they're trying to be the cryptocurrency. They're not trying to be the cryptocurrency of security or the cryptocurrency of low transaction costs. They're trying to be the best in the industry at all of these different things, which is one of the great differentiating factors of Cardano. Something like a Bitcoin, for example, does its job of storing value. It is a store of value, but something like a Cardano does what Bitcoin does, what Ethereum does, and what other cryptocurrencies do, takes the best of the bunch and puts them all together. And that is the main interesting thing about Cardano, and that's what differentiates it from other cryptos out there. Cardano runs on a proof of stake system. This is different than proof of work, which is essentially millions of computers around the world trying to solve a random mathematical equation in order to gain the right to process the next kind of page of transactions. With proof of stake, instead of being a system like a competition, it's more of a lottery system where thousands or millions of Cardano holders around the world stake their ADA coins and say, all right, I'm now entered in this random lottery system, and if I end up getting picked, I get to write the next layer of transactions or process the next layer of ADA transactions. So this is much better than proof of work and has a lot of benefits. For example, it's income producing for any Cardano holders. It's better for the environment as you don't have millions of computers around the world wasting energy trying to solve a mathematical equation. And lastly, it is more secure. Their specific proof of stake system called Ouroboros proof of stake is provably the most secure kind of system in the cryptocurrency industry. That's been determined by cryptocurrency experts. So you have that aspect of it being one of the most secure systems in the cryptocurrency industry, while also being one of the most environmentally friendly systems in the cryptocurrency industry. On top of that, proof of stake is better, and it's great to see Cardano using it as the backbone of using their platform. Now, one thing that I really want to emphasize here, Cardano and ADA generally get bundled up together, and although one can't live without the other, they are technically two separate things. Cardano is a blockchain platform, while ADA is a currency that lives on the Cardano blockchain. This is very interesting, as they are technically separate things, as the ADA does run on the Cardano blockchain, but we have to understand that ADA fuels Cardano, and it fuels it through proof of stake. Obviously, if you hold a certain amount of ADA in your Bitcoin wallet, for example, and you manage to stake it, you get potentially entered into a lottery that allows you to process the next layer of transactions. Transactions are run through ADA through proof of stake. Without ADA, Cardano can't run. Their whole system is based on ADA, and that is why it's so vital for the system, and that's why one can't live without the other. Also, ADA provides a quick and secure transfer of value. And lastly, it allows users to operate smart contracts. Again, the main takeaway from this, one can't live without the other, and as Cardano grows as a blockchain, ADA will grow alongside it, as ADA essentially runs Cardano and Cardano runs ADA. Now let's focus on the goals of Cardano as a cryptocurrency. What is it trying to be? What is it right now? And what differentiates it from other cryptocurrencies? First and foremost, I want to focus in on scarcity. When we talk about Cardano, it's almost trying to take the best of both Bitcoin and Ethereum and putting it into one crypto. For example, Cardano has 45 billion tokens as their maximum supply. Currently, they're sitting at 32 billion tokens, but as proof of stake continues to do its thing, that number will increase to 45 billion over the next roughly 100 years. So it's got that Bitcoin factor where it's a finite and deflationary currency. Very, very important as it holds its value. And it's also speedy like Ethereum. So you have these two incredible aspects of it being deflationary like Bitcoin, but also speedy like Ethereum. So it takes the best of both worlds and puts it into one crypto, which is why some consider it potentially better than both of these cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin and Ethereum, which together are significantly larger than Cardano at this moment in time in market cap. Now, next thing I want to focus in on is scalability. This is very important as, it really does impact the potential that Cardano has over the long run. You want a cryptocurrency that can scale easily. That is Cardano. Here's why. When we talk about scalability, the easiest way and best way to measure this is through transactions per second. How many transactions per second can the Cardano blockchain process? This is very important. And here I have the transactions per second capacity of many different cryptocurrencies and Visa. Now, Visa is sitting at 26,000 transactions per second. Bitcoin is sitting at 7. Ethereum is at 50, and Cardano is 7,250. Now, a lot of interesting things we have to cover here. First and foremost, we can see that Visa is significantly higher than Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Cardano combined. Why is this? Because they are a privately owned company that operate under private networks, while Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Cardano are all decentralized. So a decentralized system needs much more data and is much more difficult to operate than something like a Visa, which operates under its own private networks. So that's kind of one of the bottlenecks of cryptocurrencies, at least at this moment in time. The fact that they are kind of reduced in potential capacity in comparison to some of these fiat systems because of the fact that they're decentralized and one power does not control it. Now, when we talk about Cardano here, it's 7,250. Why is this? Because they have the capacity to scale up to 50 at this moment in time, but currently they're at 7 because that's all they need. As Cardano grows as a blockchain and as a cryptocurrency, that will increase with demand. Currently, they only need 7. They can scale up to 50 very easily and essentially match Ethereum. So right now, they're in and around where Bitcoin is, but they can scale up to Ethereum easily. Now, when we talk about the future, this is really important here as it allows us to take a glance into how Cardano may potentially replace fiat dollars with their transactions per second. We'll take a look at this in a moment here. It's very, very interesting. A normal proof of work system can potentially reach a few dozen transactions per second. A normal proof of stake system can reach potentially several hundred transactions per second. Now, when we talk about Cardano, this is very, very interesting. Ouroboros Hydra. This will give them the potential to replace fiat dollars with their transaction per second speed. Now, Ouroboros Hydra gives Cardano the ability to scale up to 1 million transactions per second. And it's not like this number has just been thrown out of the blue by the Cardano team. Simulations have been done and have proven that this is very well possible, and the results from those simulations have been phenomenal. So, Cardano has the ability to go to 1 million transactions per second, which is significantly higher than where Visa is at this moment in time, and they can do this linearly. So when we talk about 1 million transactions per second, will they need this? Most likely not. But as demand grows for their blockchain platform and for Cardano as a whole, they have the ability or capacity to host 1 million transactions per second. So to get a better understanding of Ouroboros Hydra, we first need to understand the difference between layer 1 and layer 2 of the Cardano network. Keep in mind, Ouroboros Hydra lives on layer 2, not on layer 1. And I have a bit of a paragraph here to help me kind of explain this to you on a higher level. The first layer options will always be limited in terms of the number of transactions processed in a given period of time. Keep in mind, currently we're using layer 1. If decentralization is not to be sacrificed, throughput will never be sufficient to allow a large number of people to use a consensual distributed network. The solution may be to create a second layer above the first layer. The first layer is what we call the blockchain. It is the most secure and decentralized network with lower throughput. Above this first layer, it is possible to create a quasi-independent network, a second layer. The second layer is built to scale as high as possible and makes transactions fast and cheap. So Hydra is the second layer solution for Cardano's first layer. Because the security of the first layer is ensured by the blockchain and distributed consensus, we can say that transactions are processed on-chain. Users will be able to transfer funds to the second layer. Transactions in the second layer are thus processed off-chain, meaning outside of the blockchain. So the first layer does not verify transactions that take place on the second layer. So, although we are increasing the transactions per second by moving over to Hydra, we do have a little bit of security that is given up in that process. With cryptocurrencies, there is always kind of that one thing that you have to give up for that other thing. If you want higher transaction speeds, it may be security. If you want higher security, it may be lower transaction speeds. That's how it works. And with Cardano, they're saying, all right, we can give up that security. We're going to maintain high security. There's no doubt about that. Cardano will remain secure, but they're going to give up a little bit of security and go off the blockchain in order to increase the amount of transactions per second upwards of 1 million. Now, Ouroboros Hydra runs on layer 2 and does all the hard work for the blockchain to essentially allow them to scale up to that 1 million transactions per second. They use the analogy of the Hydra heads, where each Hydra head allows for an additional 1,000 transactions per second, and as they continue to scale up and as they continue to add these different Hydra heads, or these nodes I think they're called, you essentially increase linearly the capacity of the system to potentially up to 1 million transactions per second. That's how you do it. Hydra takes care of all of the hard work and just passes the results down to the blockchain and allows for that. Now, talking about security, Cardano uses a proof of stake network, and this is very interesting as you essentially need to hold tokens in order to process transactions. Now, because of that, the only way you can control the whole system is by owning 51% of all tokens out there, a majority. First and foremost, if you want to do that, you need tens of billions of dollars. And if a majority holder ends up coming, then they're incentivized to do the right thing and actually benefit the network rather than harm it. Because obviously, they're the ones that take the biggest hit if something ends up going wrong. Now, low transaction fees. This is something very interesting when it comes to Cardano and something that really differentiates them from something like an Ethereum. Now, talking about Ethereum, I have a laughing emoji there because it's almost funny with all of these gas fees. It's almost like they're favoring the big guy, where for, smaller potential cryptocurrency investors, it almost doesn't make sense to use Ethereum because of how expensive it is to use the network. Now, when we talk about Ethereum versus Cardano, it's very interesting, and I found this on Reddit, so again, take this from a grain of salt, but around 100 days ago, this was the one-day volume of both Ethereum and ADA. Ethereum, $17.75 billion. ADA, $14.83 billion. Look at the difference in fees between Ethereum and ADA. Ethereum sitting at $28.8 million in fees, ADA sitting at $4,000 in fees. Now, both of these pale in comparison to what Visa's fees are, but you'll see that ADA is significantly less than Ethereum. And you see how much cheaper proof of stake is versus proof of work. Ethereum currently using proof of work. Sure, they're transitioning to Ethereum 2.0 over the coming years, but you see how much cheaper ADA is because they run a proof of stake system. Let me make this very clear. The cost of running a proof of stake system is significantly less than proof of work, and this is evident in the prices of both ADA and Ethereum and comparing the two. We'll see longer run where these numbers end up shaking out, but ADA is the clear winner when it comes to low transaction costs within the system. Last thing I'm going to touch on here with the goals, interoperability, and this is very interesting. Now, this was always the end goal of Cardano as a whole, allowing for it to communicate with other cryptocurrencies and other blockchains around the world. They're aiming to be the leaders in interoperability, and Charles Hoskins, the founder of Cardano, said this will be like a Wi-Fi moment where all cryptocurrencies can start communicating with each other. That's where he sees cryptocurrencies reaching their full potential. Not right now, but through interoperability later. Now, my thoughts on ADA. And we got to focus in on both the risks and a comparison with Ethereum. Comparing it with Ethereum, it's clear that Ethereum has the head start. They're much more widely used at this moment in time, but the goal is, with what we just saw with ADA and with Cardano, they'll become much more widely adopted in the future. But when you really think about it, Cardano as a whole, their goal is interoperability. So it's not like one has to replace the other. In my opinion, they're going to live side by side in the coming years and decades as cryptocurrencies continue to expand. In my opinion, Cardano is better in every single way, comparing it to Ethereum. But Ethereum has the name, it has the branding, and that's one of the things as to why it's so significantly valued compared to something like a Cardano. Now, talking about the risks of Cardano is that it's still under development. Cardano is still very young in comparison to something like an Ethereum, and some of these things like Ouroboros Hydra is still under development and is not yet released. So when we talk about the last kind of risk, and this is more just a regular cryptocurrency risk, government regulation. If the government step in and potentially choose to squeeze out cryptocurrencies, this isn't just a risk for Cardano, it's a risk for cryptos overall, and should be something that's taken into account when making your investment decisions. Now, overall, let's finish this off. Where will ADA go? Where will it potentially go over the coming years? First and foremost, at its current kind of valuation of $1.52, they're currently valued at around a $68.5 billion market cap. That's using their fully diluted kind of token count. When we talk about this market cap, it's significantly less than Bitcoin, Ethereum, or even now Binance Coin as of today. Now, when we talk about what would need to happen in order for them to reach the level that Ethereum is currently at, which is around a $300 billion market cap, we would need to see roughly a 4.4x to in and around $6.65. Do I think this is possible? I think it's very likely. Now, you obviously have the situation where Ethereum does have the head start, and Ethereum has been valued much more than that in the past, but in my opinion, I think that it's very likely that something like a Cardano may reach the levels of where Ethereum is at currently, potentially 5 years down the road. Now, could this get to 10% of gold's market cap, which is something like a Bitcoin potentially is or has been a couple months ago? I think it very well could. And to get to the spot, it's in and around a $1 trillion market cap. It's actually a little more than that at this moment in time, but at $1 trillion in market cap, you need to see roughly a 14.6x to $22 per share. Now, will this end up happening? Will Cardano end up going to $22 per token? Potentially. I think for this to happen, you're really going to have to see more mainstream adoption throughout the world of Cardano. And, I think it really is possible due to the fact that Cardano takes the best of both Ethereum and Bitcoin and puts it into one. But for this to happen, Charles Hoskins needs to execute. The team at Cardano needs to execute. My overall thoughts, my final thoughts. Now, as a cryptocurrency, I think Cardano ADA will do phenomenally moving forwards, but you do need to consider it as a speculative investment and should be considered as such in your portfolio. I personally think you should have a main stock market portfolio that's filled with phenomenal companies. ADA can just be that cherry on top that, if it turns out, great. If it doesn't, it's not the end of the world. Now, I personally do own Cardano ADA in my cryptocurrency portfolio and am fine dollar cost averaging in over the coming years. In my opinion, Cardano is more of a speculative investment, which is why it's only a fraction of the size of my overall stock market portfolio. That's how I'm playing it. I'm a believer in Cardano. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye.